On today's show,
we debate who had the better dunk, Zach LaVine on Len or Andrew Wiggins on JaVale.
is Mark Cuban right to not tank? Should Beal have been suspended? And who will have more triple-doubles, Bron or Russ?
And the reigning two-time MVP makes a very rare appearance in Weekend Whoopsies.
It's Monday, November 28th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast, joining us live right now on NBA TV, or a little bit later on YouTube, we're happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Millis.
Look, we all have a case of the Mondays. We'll be sure to get rid of yours by the end of this show, guaranteed.
There you go. To his right, it's the international man of mystery, taking it to the stash, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily looks nice. And last, certainly not least, over there, it's the bearded one. It's Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! TK, what do you got for us, buddy?
Guys, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters, and we don't talk about Chris Humphries much around here, but the guy did something pretty cool over the weekend. That's right, he straight up shattered a backboard at Hawks practice at a high school in Santa Monica.
Wow.
Humphries said it was the first time it's ever happened to him, which is surprising and not surprising at the same time. But rather than just letting the shards dangle there, the rest of the team took aim to finish the demolition, just whipping balls at the broken hoop from about half court. A couple of guys finally hit it.
Oh, nice.
Sent glass flying. I don't know if that's the best way to break down a backboard, but it looks like fun. And it brings us to today's question. What is the best way to break a backboard? Personally, I think it'd be cool if The Rock dropped a people's elbow on a backboard. And I'm not talking about the new Dwayne Johnson version of The Rock. I'd like the Longside Burns, Brahma Bull version.
Yeah.
Pop off that elbow pad, dance around and drop the people's elbow if you smell what I'm cooking. But we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter at #TheStarters. What's the best way to break a backboard? Send us your best tweets, and we'll see them a little bit later.
All right, get those tweets in. Fun show for you. Tonight we've got the Up-Down Report. Of course, it's Monday, so we got a batch of Weekend Whoopsies. But we start with a little What You Got. If you're new to the show, Trey presents us with two similar topics, and we have to determine the better choice. The catch, though, there's only one right answer, and it's according to whatever TK thinks it is. So, Trey, first one.
Y'all like dunks?
Oh, yeah.
Me too! Got a couple of great ones from the Timberwolves over the weekend. First, on Friday, Zach LaVine reached way back to crush one on Alex Len's head, and then on Saturday, Andrew Wiggins threw down almost the exact same dunk, but his was on JaVale McGee. Who had the better poster? LaVine or Wiggins? What you got?
Wow.
It's Zach LaVine. He makes it look easy on a 7-footer.
Right.
Now, I do think it hurts him when he makes it look easy when it's just a breakaway dunk, but I think because he's doing this on a 7-footer, it makes it look that more impressive. Andrew Wiggins was incredible, and they're very similar dunks, but that is gracefully dunking on a 7-foot man. That just doesn't happen. I think there's only one who can make that happen, and it's Zach LaVine.
That's huge. And I would add to the 7-footer there in Alex Len, a young 7-footer.
Yeah.
Right? A guy that has blocked a lot of shots in his young career already, too. A shot blocker. So I'm with you. LaVine's is huge.
And credit to Len, he didn't pull out. Sometimes you see guys, they know they're about to get crushed and they stop. He thought, you know what, I'm going to go up and try to block this. Didn't work. Bad luck. I'm actually going with Andrew Wiggins, though, because...
He doesn't even dunk on
No,
JaVale,
but he
though.
does.
He goes around him.
There's a little bit more of a story to this one here with Andrew Wiggins, because he goes up and throws it down. JaVale runs off as quick as he can. That's fine. It's a huge, huge dunk.
It was more of a thrunk, though. A little bit of
Well,
a little
LaVine's was
thrunky.
also a bit of a thrunk, too.
It's a little thrunky.
But the thing is, why I say there's a bit of a story to this, because only a couple of minutes prior to this, Andrew Wiggins went inside and JaVale McGee blocked him.
Right.
So Andrew Wiggins had that in the back of his mind. He saw JaVale there, and he was trying to get some payback. After the dunk, he talks a little bit of smack to him as well.
So you're giving credit to Wiggins because of what transpired 2 minutes before in McGee blocking him.
His was somewhat premeditated in that aspect. He wanted to get revenge on JaVale McGee, who blocked him earlier, and that's what you want to see in the NBA. You want to see, you blocked me one time, I'm going right back at you.
Yeah, right. At the end of the season, when we're talking about the best dunks, they're going to be showing that block that happened earlier, right?
Hey, we should, because that block actually birthed that dunk. If he didn't block him, maybe Andrew Wiggins, here it is. If he doesn't block him, maybe Andrew Wiggins doesn't feel the need to go and get revenge and go and smash one on him.
I get it.
True.
Look, this is really tough.
This is the first birth we've ever seen on an NBA floor.
Isn't that
we
what
see
happened
wedding
with,
proposals, but no births.
With Wiggins and Gobert last year?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't Gobert block him and then he dunked on him?
No, I think it was the other way around. I think he dunked on him and then Gobert blocked him.
So the dunk birthed the block.
That's right.
I would like to throw a wild card dunk in here. I know it's between Levine and Wiggins, but let me do something that Lee Ellis would usually do and just go off the board. The best dunk from the Thanksgiving weekend may have been in the D-League. Check this out from Wayne Selden dunking all over Rakeem Christmas. I love that Christmas wears number 25. Gotta love that. That's huge. And that's a 6'4" guy here for the Iowa Energy.
That's a clean dunk right there.
Am I wrong? Is Rakeem Christmas a 7-footer? No.
No, he's not.
It's a little different.
Did Rakeem Christmas block him a couple of minutes
Okay,
out?
there's no birthing in this. All right, what's the answer to this?
Was he
The
born on
answer is
Christmas?
Zach Levine. His
answer's
first,
Zach
and his was more on Alex Len. Lee, you even said it was good that he jumped. JaVale McGee got out of the way, man.
Well, he tried, he did try to pull out of it at the end, yeah.
Anyways,
Moving on.
Hey.
it's been a great year for triple doubles already, and two of the best are battling it out on the chart. After trip dubs in 2 of his last 3 games, LeBron James is in sole position of 6th place in the all-time list, but that wasn't the case Sunday morning as Russell Westbrook briefly tied James for 6th after back-to-back triple-doubles on Friday and Saturday. Which triple-double monster will finish the season having more triple-doubles, Westbrook or James? And can I say triple-doubles more? What you got?
Yeah, there's not really another term for triple doubles.
No.
Send us in one. Hashtag the starters.
Trip dubs, maybe. This one's easy.
I think
Russell
it's Russ,
Westbrook
yeah.
is going to have more triple doubles by the end of the season than LeBron.
Pretty likely.
I mean, it's cool that LeBron is putting them back up there. I like that they're going back and forth here when
Yeah.
it comes to sort of the career triple doubles. It feels like every night it's changing now. But Westbrook has 18 games into the season. A couple years ago, Lance Stevenson, correct me if I'm wrong, led the league with 5 triple doubles.
Yeah.
Westbrook has 7 through 18 games. He might end with 30 this year.
It's because he's got an incredible usage rate, which is the amount of plays that you're directly
Right.
involved in. It's a record number this year, and I think that could be one thing that might slow him down because this would be an all-time high. He's involved in more 40% of plays. Kobe Bryant did it a decade ago at 38%. He's the only one to come to really close to 40%. So Russ may slow down at some point. I think the other thing that may hurt him is that the Cavs just have proven shooters that LeBron can pass to over and over and over. And Russ maybe becomes frustrated at some point and says, all right, I'm not passing anymore. I'm just going to keep shooting. And maybe the assist numbers go a tinge down. But I do agree. It's far more likely that the one-man show in OKC is going to continue. And I want to point out, Kobe Bryant, 05-06, that usage rate was incredible. Everything going through him. Just came off of trading Shaquille O'Neal, sort of like Kevin Durant leaving OKC and Russ just doing it all.
The thing is with Russ as well, the one against the Pistons, that was probably his easiest triple-double. I watched that whole game.
Yeah.
He was just dropping off PNRs there to Steven Adams and Enes Kanter. They were just laying it up. The Pistons' defense wasn't very good. That's why I think Russ had a low points total that night. He didn't really need to do all
Right.
that. But you just see Russ, he wants to get the ball from the rebound as well. So he has the ball in his hand the moment he gets it and he can start that offensive charge. So he's going to do it because you know LeBron is, again, going to cruise at some point. And he's got Kyrie, Kevin Love, all those guys can sort of take the load off him. Russell doesn't really have anyone
I
like
think
that.
what's amazing with Westbrook is that he's nearly averaging 10 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
For a smaller guy in this league. He's at 9.9 right now. I mean, 1 rebound away, and we're talking about he would have right now a triple-double average over the season,
Yeah.
like Oscar Robertson way back in 61-62. Westbrook's 13th in the league in rebounds per game. I mean, he out-rebounds guys like Towns and Blake Griffin and so on.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, we take it for granted. I mean, we do it with both these guys. I'm glad we're pointing it out here even on the show tonight. Because these stats are no joke, all these guys, and there's the most triple doubles of all time. Got a long way to go if you're going to catch the big O.
Angry Russ is quite enjoyable to watch. He's just doing it all. I do like LeBron's sort of MVP campaign if he does continue to put up these triple doubles.
Yeah.
I picked him. A lot of other people picked him. If he continues to run on this, the triple doubles, I think it's easy for him to get the triple doubles because of those guys you mentioned,
Yeah.
right? Because he can get the assists, and I like it as the campaign. Make America 10 again.
Yeah, it makes
that's
sense.
the line. I know it's not great. It's not as great as great, and he's a Hillary supporter, so maybe it doesn't go over well. But I feel like he can run on that this entire year.
All right, so we are all going Westbrook. What's the answer?
Yeah, it's Westbrook. The guy's got 7 in 18 games. He could be as high as number 4 on the all-time list by the end of the season, which would be crazy.
Oh, man.
But moving on November 17th, the Clippers and the Hawks were both in first place in their respective conferences, but disastrous Thanksgiving weekends have both teams feeling a bit sluggish. Me too. The Clips lost to the Pistons and Pacers on the road, while the Hawks lost to the Jazz and Lakers in away games. Who had the worst Thanksgiving weekend? The Clippers or the Hawks? What you got?
It's the Clippers.
Really?
Yeah,
No,
it
it's
is.
Kaka. Sad Hawks.
It's the Clippers because they were an elite team going into this weekend. I, for one, thought they were the best team in the league prior to Thanksgiving. They had 2 very bad losses. You can excuse the one to the Pistons because it's almost like a scheduled loss. Like, you know what, they've been playing so well, they just didn't focus. But if you are a legit contender, you have to bounce back immediately, especially against a team not playing well and without their own superstar in Paul George. Clippers were awful yesterday.
Well, that's the worrisome part with the Atlanta Hawks. People thought they were the second best team in the East for a bit. So there was talks about that. And now this has become a trend. They scored 68 points against the Utah Jazz on Friday. They had 2 losses as well. But it goes back to last weekend. They lost to the Knicks in an afternoon game, which, you can excuse it. Yeah, you're in Madison Square Garden in New York City. Manhattan is wonderful around the holidays. Understandable. But then you come back home after that stinker and lose to the Pelicans in a stinker. A real bad loss. Now they've lost 5 of 6 games. It's becoming a pattern here. I wonder what's going on in that locker room where they don't show up.
They had a players-only meeting as well
great.
Between the losses. What, you like players-only meetings?
Oh, yeah, they're so good. Yeah.
They don't tend to work.
They come out in the first quarter, they're great, and then they have 3 awful quarters. So,
So, okay, well, we're torn on this one. Lee goes Clippers. I'm with Tass, and I go Hawks. What's the answer?
Yeah, it's definitely the Hawks.
right.
68 points the day after Thanksgiving. Just go buy a TV at Best Buy if you're going to do that.
It's all right, we got to take a break. Lots more still to come on the starters tonight. When we come back, Mark Cuban, he sees no reason for the Mavericks to tank. Is he right? We'll debate that more in the Up-Down Report. Back with the starters, right into the Up-Down Report, where we figure out where the 4 of us stand on some hot-button NBA topics. We ask you to do the same on Twitter, hashtag the starters, thumbs up or thumbs down. And our first one, the Dallas Mavericks, currently sit at an NBA worst 3-13, but owner Mark Cuban isn't hitting the panic button just yet. Talking with reporters before last night's win, Cuban disagreed with those who have suggested that tanking is in the franchise's best interest. Haters gonna hate, Cuban said. We think that you always compete. Are you guys up or down on Mark Cuban and the Mavs sort of refusing here to buy into the tanking situation?
There's no downs. There's no downs.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's better for your franchise and your organisation to be seen as always trying to compete and win. I don't think any player wants to go to an organisation that is openly saying, we're not going to try to win this year. It's not good for the players, it's not good for the fans, it's not good for the team.
No, the goal of the league should be to make every game important each and every night. And if we all know they're trying and there's no tanking involved, then we all care each and every night, right? We don't think, this guy's sitting down on a Tuesday night in Charlotte. If everyone is putting forth some great effort. And that's the question I think that's been happening the last few years is, are guys really trying each and every night? And I think this year, the teams that are 20th to 30th place have been the most enjoyable than I can remember forever.
In terms of just watching.
Just gameplay. Maybe coaching has improved. I think there's basically a star in each and every city. I think it's been enjoyable because of this type of attitude.
Yeah, look, they're 3-13. All these guys are injured, be it Dirk and Darren Williams and JJ Barea, and goes on and on and on. They don't need to tank because they just don't have a lot of talent out there. You might just lose games as it is. I know Cuban went on to say that in the piece on ESPN with Tim McMahon. We may try our hearts out and we still may lose. So there's no idea. You don't need to put the label of tank onto it. Some teams are just going to be bad for whatever reason.
Yeah, just keep doing what they're doing. They have the perfect stealth tank team. All their old guys are getting hurt every now and then. Their young guys seem to be role players at the best. What are you going to do? Ask Dirk to give up tons and tons of money year after year, and then now when the team is doing poorly, you ask him to sit out when he's 38 years old? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's been astonishing to see that the Mavs haven't won a playoff series since they won the title, and Dirk again takes less money to try and get guys to come. I think Mark Cuban's big mistake was that he broke up that championship team, and he regrets that. But they've got the reputation that they try night in and night out, and that helps in free agency. It helps all the time.
5 games out of a playoff spot too. I mean, it is still early.
Time.
All right, moving on here though. The NBA has fined Bradley Beal $15,000 for grabbing Evan Fournier's neck during a game on Friday against the Magic. Beal was assessed a technical foul during the fourth quarter of the Wizards' win, and the league tacked on the additional penalty on Sunday. Though, only $15K. He avoids suspension. Are you guys up or down on the way the NBA handled this, and really on Beal avoiding just that, a suspension? Do you think he deserved it?
Wow.
I think he should have been ejected, and I think he should have been suspended. Guys get suspended for elbows to the head, throwing punches that don't even hit. If you run into a referee, you're suspended for a game, but he put a hand on another player's throat, something that has NBA ties with Latrell Sprewell. I'm shocked that he got less than a fine you get if you do the Sam Cassell dance. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I do think the replay makes it look worse than actually the real time.
I think totally. This is a super slow-mo. This is the only time where he touched his neck, and it's almost like a push. I do agree. Obviously, he kind of went at the neck, but you really have to slow it down to see that.
Yeah, again.
So why are you torn here? What are you doing here with your hand?
I thought he was going to get suspended, but they had a game the very next night, and I wonder if perhaps that played into it. The NBA, because it was on a weekend, a Thanksgiving weekend, they didn't have time to assess it correctly, so they said, give him a fine.
Everybody's out of the office.
no time.
Maybe, who knows?
We got an out-of-office reply.
I mean, good timing for him. You know, if they had a couple of days off, perhaps the league reviews it differently.
I was curious to hear how you would weigh in on this because Bradley Beal is your favorite player in the league.
Well, he's one of my favourite players. I don't condone any sort of violence, of course, and if someone does strike another player, then they deserve to be punished for it. But this one on Twitter was really bad. People, look what he's done. He's ripped his neck off.
Because it looks terrible in super slow-mo. If you watch it live,
it's
like
a
And not to condone it either.
Still, but if you're taking a shot to the neck, any shot, you should get fined more than you do for dancing.
You should definitely get fined
That's
for
crazy.
more than that.
That's fair,
but again, like that's a very brief, quick moment, and I don't know.
Maybe he was trying to rub his beard. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Lee, grab Trey's beard there for a second. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Final one here. I think we have time for one more quick one. On Sunday, Frank Vogel, he made some wholesale changes to the Magic starting five, including starting Bismack Biyombo instead of Nikola Vucevic. Vuce wasn't thrilled with the decision. He says, I spoke to Frank about it, and obviously I wasn't happy with the decision they made. I didn't think that there was a reason for me to go to the bench. End quote on that, guys. Are you up or down on Vucevic, coming off the bench? I'm down.
I don't mind it. The Magic are struggling. When you're Frank Vogel, you've got to try to mix things up. The only question I have is he already had to make one change because Jeff Green was out injured. 3 changes to your starting lineup is a lot to make in one team.
DJ Augustine starting for Alfred Payton, and then this one with Bismack and Biyombo.
This team needs scoring, though. Put them out there. Why Bismack and Biyombo out there? You're just glutting it up.
See, I think they need to trade Vooch, and you got to get his trade value up by playing him a lot.
There it is. Let's hear from people out there. Jump on Twitter, hashtag the starters up or down on those 3 topics. Quick break. When we return, weekend whoopsies and a wedgie. Got it all. Back with the starters, we asked you earlier in the show, what's the best way to break a backboard? You guys jumped on Twitter, hashtag the starters. Yeah, there's the rock smashing one there. Trey, got a few of the best answers.
Yeah, Sam says it's accidentally smashing it with a broom whilst dislodging a wedgie. Can you even imagine how joyous we would be around here if that happened? Daniel says, one time LeBron will go for a chase down and will end up hitting the backboard. It'll be ugly for the backboard. I can see it happening.
Yeah.
And Lewis says, when the backboard sees Lee Ellis's stash, it breaks itself. Stash that Merv Hughes himself would be proud of. Oh, our monitors all just shattered here. In this
Your mustache looks like a backboard. So
Well, that was the design I was going for.
Oh, nice. All right, guys. It is Monday, so let's get to some weekend whoopsies.
Bismack got a big smack across the head right there. Bismack Biyombo now looking at Evan Fournier's pass. Over there.
Yeah.
Classic doinker.
Also on Friday night, Sir Langston Galloway crosses himself up. Yeah. Breaking his own
That's
ankle.
so good.
He had him.
He did.
On Friday, Steph Curry, the rare attempt to throw one down here. I'm on the break. Yeah, I got this. Oh, no. Just misses out. The reason? Well, the day after Thanksgiving, the meal was too good the night before. Steph, nice tweet below the rim right there.
Turkey weighing him down. I get it. Keep your eye on pretty tricky Ricky Rubio right there. Guarding the inbounds, but he's turned around, so Eric Bledsoe does the old classic Scottie Pippen move, throws it off the back, scoops it up, puts it in. Nice finish. Keep your eyes on the inbounder.
Have you ever seen this before? Jamal Crawford addresses the camera before an inbound. I mean, he innovates with the crossovers.
Yeah, he wants to be on TV when his career's finished.
Yeah.
So he's just getting some reps in now.
Very charismatic. Jared Bayless for the Sixers just loses it.
Yeah.
Look, the Sixers have been playing well, getting some wins, but this is the Sixers of old, I guess.
He's a little rusty. Gotta be rusty.
Yeah.
This is happening all over the league. Marc Gasol, Zaza Pachulia have smacked their butts. Now, Victor Oladipo has done the same.
Yeehaw!
Yeah.
We gotta start doing this, I guess.
Well done.
I guess we could.
Good pun.
Carmelo Anthony looking to move the basketball. That's good. The pass, not so good.
Oh.
No. A little high for Derrick Rose. Maybe he thought it was Porzingis.
You got to pay attention in Charlotte. The ball's always
Yeah,
flying
you're
to the
right.
ground.
You're right.
happens
In
there?
that spot before, too.
The Gerald Henderson one from a couple of years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, here's Grizz rookie Troy Williams. No! Wow. He's about 11 games into his NBA career, and this is probably the thing he's known best for already, unfortunately.
It's going to leave a mark, yeah. Back to the Sixers. Sir Robert Covington with the fast break. No.
whoa.
Like, no, look. LeBron is chasing him down here. He knows that. He hears the footsteps. So he's
Yeah.
like, I just got to get on the glass, but he just didn't.
It was
get it.
whoopsies or top 10 plays.
Yeah.
One of the two.
One more outlet pass ends up a little differently here. It almost goes down for Kevin Love.
man.
That's a shot.
It gets backboard, yes.
I'm surprised he didn't make it this weekend, to be honest with
Yeah. I do that in 2K17 all the time.
Too many
Finger
knuckle
slips.
push-ups, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Strong.
Possible. Keep an eye on Mo Harkless, bottom of your screen there. He's going to do a quick mannequin challenge. He's good at it.
Convincing.
There goes his defensive assignment. Backdoors him. Yeah, look, we saw Otto Porter do this once. Not as bad, I would say, from Harkless, but zoned out.
Inspiring.
This Matt Barnes lob is great. So good. Shows Kevin Love how it's done. Just flick
Yeah,
it
that's
in.
how you do it.
Bank. And then Matt Barnes' reaction is great.
Oh, that's the best part.
Why feel bad about it?
Yeah, he doesn't feel great about it.
We had a wedgie!
Yeah.
Number 12, three-ball shooter Anthony Morrow sticks it.
Another
so
three-point
perfectly.
attempt.
Yes. More three-point attempts, more wedgies. Well, we can't do that much math, but we know that is our 12th wedgie of the season, projecting us for 63. We're slowing down a little bit. We're getting one every 21 games when before was one every 13, 14. Slowing down a touch.
pace,
The goal is 50. Who knows?
We'll get there, man. Stay confident. When we return, Lee's very solid play. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the starters. We are running out of time in the month of November when it comes to the pick and play here. Tonight's game, it's the Thunder at the Knicks. We're split on this one. Trey and Tass have the Thunder. Lee and I have the Knicks. Look, I'm a game behind Lee. Overall, we're tight here, but nothing will change really after tonight. Lee, where are we going for very solid play?
We're going to Portland, and the Rockets turned into what looked like could have been a turnover to a five-man netball play that ends with a Trevor Ariza.
Switch
ball.
What's a netball
Perfect.
play?
It's where no one dribbles the ball,
Oh,
everyone
right.
touches it. That's the game of netball. Great game. Great sport. That's what I call a very solid play.
Very solid play, very solid stash. Also running out of time to give money to Lee's Movember page. Go to Movember.com, search for Lee Ellis. We're trying to get to 10 Gs, so we're gonna need a miracle here. But
Yeah, we're going to need about, 50 more wedgies.
thanks to everyone.
Go,
Sending that
Merv.
in. Tomorrow morning, Twitter show, 11 a.m. Eastern. You can catch that on Twitter. It just makes sense. We'll have a blast. See you then.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, big shoes, big blisters.
Race the night, people.